Week 3 and also the final week of OTAs are in the books for the Kansas City Chiefs, and now they're going to prepare for the start of mandatory minicamp, where things start to get a little bit more exciting. In this video, I want to break down a couple of players whose stock has risen from the first couple of weeks of OTAs, but also what you guys need to prepare for and look out for as we go into mandatory minicamp just next week. By the way, we will be covering the entirety of that as well. Now, before we jump into the video, as we always do, I want to give a major shout out to all of the Chiefs media members out there, PJ Green, Harold R. Kuntz, Aaron Ladd, and so many others, man. Go give them a follow on Twitter, because without them, these videos aren't possible. They post highlights almost every single practice, so make sure you guys go follow them on Twitter. Big shout out to them. Again, these aren't possible without those guys specifically. Now, with that being said, let's kind of jump into some of the biggest news and notes from around OTAs over the last couple of days. One being Xavier Worthy is still not at practice, but he's at practice, just not fully healthy and able to practice. However, he did agree to a 4-year, $13.8 million contract just 2 days ago, which means he is ready to go for the start of the season, and they do expect him to slowly start to ramp up from that hamstring tweak, maybe even for mandatory minicamp. But if not, things will be okay. He'll be ready to go for training camp. And this is a guy who they have a ton of faith in. Not only is he he is the fastest player in NFL history since the 40-yard dash, and this is a guy who is electric with the football in his hand. So comment down below right now, guys, do you think Xavier Worthy, if he stays completely healthy, goes over 1,000 yards receiving this year in his rookie year? Or do you think he'll, maybe ease into it a little bit and get like 700 plus yards this year? Let me know what you guys think. Give me a final stat prediction for Xavier Worthy as he continues to ramp up here, and they expect a lot from him, maybe even in year 1. Now, yesterday's practice was interesting. A lot of guys were not there, but the main thing about mandatory minicamp is you have to be there. Obviously, the guys who missed today was Isaiah Buggs, which he's dealing with some legal issues, Leo Chenal, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chris Jones, Isaiah Pacheco, Rashid Rice, Justin Ross, Irv Smith Jr., which, if you're Irv Smith, you pretty much got to be here. I don't know what you're doing. You're losing a lot of valuable reps. Kadarius Toney and left guard Joe Thuney as well. So I don't know where Kadarius Toney is, but he is, again, slowly losing his reps as they bring in Mecole Hardman. Also, that's some big news. Mecole Hardman is a guy who knows the playbook, knows what they want to do, has chemistry with Patrick Mahomes. So, that is the biggest takeaway from that signing is, going into, from OTAs to mandatory minicamp, Mecole Hardman already knows the system, right? As guys like Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy and some of these other guys here are a little bit new to the system. Mecole already has that past experience with the team, which I think is one of the main reasons they got him, not only because of his speed, but just because of his ability to come in here and be able to work from the jump instead of having to relearn the playbook and whatnot. Now, guys, before we get any further, next we're going to talk about a couple of guys who have been rising their stock and have been looking really good so far in camp. This is going to be different from yesterday's video, so if you watched it, don't worry. I'm going to bring some new names out here for you. Now, before we get into that, do me a big favor, hit the like button just so we can get this video out to more Chiefs fans, but also, more importantly, subscribe if you're new. It's free. Doesn't cost anything, and we will be covering the Chiefs throughout the entirety of the offseason, not only for OTAs, mandatory minicamp, training camp, preseason, regular season, everything. Once the season does kick off, we're going to be breaking down some film, and if you guys want to see me react live to some of the Chiefs games, go follow my Twitch right now. We're going to be live over there for not only gaming purposes for the new college football Madden, but also watching Chiefs games. Make sure you guys check that out. Now, let's get into a few notes from yesterday's practice and then the overall guys who've stood out so far. Okay, yesterday, 2 DBs have looked really good, probably throughout the entirety of OTAs. My favorite being Nazeeh Johnson. This is a guy who is just been standing out each and every single day of practice, and, a former 7th round pick. They don't have too high hopes for, but he is developing at a high level, doesn't have too many expectations. Man, this is a guy that's just been working hard each and every single day, trying to improve himself, and you can tell the money, the fame, the ego, it's not there for him. He just wants to play football, and he wants to be better than where he was the day before. So Nazeeh Johnson is the guy who, after them losing L'Jarius Sneed, I wouldn't be surprised if he does carve out some sort of role with this defense. But right now, they are extremely confident in Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson and Shamari Connor, right? But also another guy who looks really good as well, Joshua Williams. Joshua Williams, another one of those guys. He had an interception in red zone 11 on 11s yesterday as well. So he looked good. Nazeeh Johnson looked good. And other than that, you have a couple of wide receivers who, one being a fan favorite, Nico Remigio. Hopefully I said that right. Nico is a guy who, man, the fans love this dude. The fans love this dude. He makes strong catches almost every single day. If you throw it his way, most likely he's going to come down with it. So he's been a bright spot of camp so far, especially with Kadarius Toney and Xavier Worthy missing some time and whatnot. So keep an eye out on Nico. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he ends up making this team. And then Justin Watson is another guy who had a couple of strong catches almost every day this week as well. And, Justin Watson is a guy who, again, interesting. Justin Watson, he's been here, he's done that, he's been reliable. And I think he's going to be reliable once again this season as a depth guy who maybe could give you some spot starts if need be. Now, with that being said, let's dive into a couple of players who have slowly been proving themselves as as days go on. One is going to be Louis Rees-Zammit. Obviously, Chiefs fans don't really know what to expect from him because, the Chiefs signed him back in March. He's a rugby star, one of the best ever. And he didn't really grow up playing football, but you come to OTAs and there's been nothing but praise and great translation from rugby to the NFL here. And again, I know it's just OTAs, but the man's got insane speed. He's got, a toughness from that rugby playing. And, I think he's going to be the team's top kick returner by the start of the season. And even special teams coordinator Dave Tube has said that, listen, this dude is a great athlete. He's done above and beyond what everyone's expected. And the man, this is his first time really diving into football, man. Listen, I am excited to see what he can do. And with this new kickoff rule, I think he could be one of the best in football. And listen, again, I know it's just OTAs, but the speed jumps out, man. You can't teach speed. He's got it from the jump, right? So he's been really good. I think he's going to be a day one impactful player for this team if it's only on special teams. I'm excited to see what he can do going forward, right? Now, we talked about Jared Wiley in yesterday's video. I think he's a guy that has a ton of potential. Don't really want to harp on him again because, again, yesterday's video we covered Jared Wiley. Make sure you guys go check that out. But another guy who's been underratedly good in practice. I don't know if that was a word, but yeah, whatever. Carson Wentz, QB Carson Wentz, he's been learning a ton. I mean, dude, it really does help when you have a guy who, struggled throughout the beginning stage of his career, but being able to learn behind Patrick Mahomes, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and he's still getting better, right? Carson Wentz is learning a ton, and he's actually starting to make some big-time throws, and the presence of not only Andy Reid, but Mahomes is, huge for him, right? Even Travis Kelce couldn't help but hide his excitement for, a guy like Carson Wentz. He's been absolutely killing it, right? He's been absolutely coming out here, doing what needs to be done, and he's helping the team out in the long run, just giving, good reps to the second team or the first team defense. And I do think that Carson Wentz isn't the worst quarterback in the world. I think he's a guy that still has potential. I know he's getting up there at 31 years old right now, but I do think he's capable, right? I think if Patrick Mahomes misses a day or two, or a game or two, I think Wentz keeps you, competitive. So I do like Wentz, what he's done so far. Again, I'm waiting to see what he does with the pads come on. There's contact and there's true 100% defense. That's when things will get really exciting. But for now, you got to give a big shout to Carson Wentz, man. He's taken like a pro. He's coming in here learning, not complaining about being, a backup. Obviously, you can't complain. When you're behind Patrick Mahomes, you're never going to start unless, you need to, right? So, yeah, he's been good. And then lastly, another shout out. I mean, I know I shouted this guy out last video. Jaden Hicks, man. Jaden Hicks is so much better than they thought they were, or he was going to be. And, Steve Spagnuolo, he might have found himself a really good DB here. And DB coach Dave Moret, Dude, I think they found one. I think they found one here, Jay Nick. So hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. We will be, gearing up for more practice highlights, news, notes, observations from mandatory minicamp. So make sure you guys join the family, and I'll see you guys in the next Chiefs video. Peace.